Welcome, Gunrunner.
Hey everybody, Kieran aka The Laird here, and I've got a film review for you today. And I know a little while back I promised that I was going to have a few more film reviews when I did the last the Atari documentary that I reviewed, that I ended up very much liking after a not so great start. And I did say that I had more to do, and this was one of them, but life got in the way. I never got a chance to finish watching the documentary, and never got a chance to film this review. So it's a lot later, actually, a lot later than I anticipated posting this review. But at least we're here, and I can give my views on it. And the documentary, as you've probably already seen, is Viva Amiga. And this is a documentary that's been absolutely years in the making. I mean, it was announced well before the Bedrooms to Billions Amiga Years movie, which I was quite critical of, and yet it's managed to come out quite a bit after that. And there was a lot of reasons for that. I'm not going to go into a lot of them here. A lot of people got a bit upset about it, but they promised that it was to do with getting all the right people in it and getting the production done and sourcing the footage and making sure they had the legal rights to it, etc. And here we are. It's now here, and I mean, it's a funny one. I'm going to endeavour to explain my views in it. I mean, overall, I wasn't massively impressed by it. So I'll go and give the bad points first, and then give the things I did like about it, because it wasn't all horrible. I don't want to be too negative about it. But the first thing I want to say is that the thing that I think was most at fault with this film is, which is unfortunate, is that a lot of the content is repeated that was in Bedrooms to Billions Amiga Years. And that's why I say unfortunate, because had this come out first, I probably would have thought it was a better movie, because that stuff would have been fresh and new and I wouldn't have seen it before. But as it is, you've got RJ McCall and all the other Commodore guys just repeating lots of the same stories, lots of the same lines, loads of the same quotes, stuff that was in Bedrooms to Billions. There's even some of the same footage used, some of the same imagery. So certainly for the start of the film, you feel like you're watching the same movie almost all over again, which is a bit of a shame, because it just feels like it's treading over old ground, and that's really where my my main negative lies. And the second one that I do want to say is that it did feel a little overproduced. They've gone all sort of over the top on 3D graphics and little sequences in between the clips and interviews, and I don't really feel they were needed. It almost felt like a bit like they were showing off a little bit, which was a shame. I would have rather seen something going into the content. And the last thing I'm going to mention is that for a film that's been in production so long, it's not that long. I think it's just over an hour long, which I was a bit surprised about, because a lot of these documentaries coming in now are usually a sort of 2 hours ish in length. So I was quite disappointed to see how short it was. I was expecting something a lot longer. But to go into the positive side of things, leave that aside. There was some stuff I did really like about it, and I should say, actually, I should interject at this point. For those that don't know, I grew up with an Atari ST. I wasn't an Amiga guy, so there is maybe a tiny little bit of bias there, but I do try to keep bias out of these things. I was an ST guy, not an Amiga guy, and I didn't really have that much experience with the Amiga back in the day, but I do in the present day. It's a machine that I've grown to appreciate more, especially because I'm a massive fan of the Lynx, as many know, and it was the same design team behind the Amiga went on to design the Lynx, Dave Needle and RJ McCall, etc. So obviously those guys mean a lot to me for what they did with the Lynx, and there's a lot of similar technologies used in designing the Lynx and a lot of similar thought processes. So I always find the technical stuff from the Amiga quite fascinating. But this kind of leads into what I did like about it. So they go very much into the scene now, in terms of what happened after Commodore went bankrupt, which wasn't really covered in the Bedrooms to Billions movie at all. So this is where it got really interesting. They went in through the various takeovers with the ESCOM and Gateway, etc. What people are doing with the Amiga hardware now. They speak to some genuine fans of the Amiga rather than just the people who made the Amiga, which was quite nice. So you've got some of that perspective, and a big part of it goes into why people love the Amiga so much now. What is it about the Amiga that makes it so great, and why it has this sort of really ardent following. And I didn't really realise how hardcore the Amiga following was until quite recently. And one of the things that gave me an inkling of it was there was some polls on the Retro Gamer forum, and every time the Amiga was mentioned in any sort of poll, it would run away victory. And all the fanboys would turn up and say, "Oh, the Amiga was just amazing. It was better than the Mega Drive, better than the SNES, blah blah blah." And I found that a bit bizarre at first anyway. But then having watched this movie kind of explains a little bit more about why it has that ardent following, and I can understand it a bit better now. And I suppose it was so different, the Amiga, to a lot of other systems. So you can understand a little bit better why it does have the following that it does. And I loved all that stuff that went into what people done with demos and homebrew, and the mods that people are making now, the evolutions of the Amiga OS, what people are doing with those technologies now. And all that part of the film was great. And that last part of the movie was by far the most enjoyable part of it. It's just a shame it was a sort of a hard slog going through the stuff I'd heard a million times before at the beginning. And yeah, I mean, it makes it hard for me to recommend the movie, because in terms of buying it and stuff, because I don't feel that it offers that good value because of it only being an hour long, and also because of the repeated content from Bedrooms to Billions. If you watch Bedrooms to Billions, is probably, as a casual watcher, there's not going to be much in this movie for you. If you're an Amiga hardcore, if you are a big fanboy when it comes to the Amiga, then you probably would enjoy this film. But then you've probably bought it already, and I've missed the boat with this review. But for the casual sort of retro gamer who just kind of enjoys watching these documentaries and stuff, I don't feel there's a lot there in Viva Amiga for you, and it's probably not worth the asking price, certainly for the DVD edition. And you might want to rent it, if you've really got nothing else to do and you do fancy watching a gaming related sort of nostalgia kind of documentary film. I mean, there might be something there for you, but yeah, it does make it hard to recommend. And I was quite excited to see that Zachary Weddington, who produced this, is following it up with a Sega movie, which hasn't been done before. So I'm hoping no one else beats him to the punch with that, and he gets the Sega movie done and out a bit quicker than he did with this Amiga film. Kind of learns from his mistakes, because I would like to see that movie immensely, because it's a story that hasn't really been covered before. You don't really see documentaries on Sega. They tend to normally be Nintendo or Atari or Commodore. So I do look forward to the Sega movie. But as always, I will stick a link below of where you can watch Viva Amiga, where you can get hold of it. And I'd like to thank you once again for watching my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give us a like if you haven't already, and I'll see you all again with another video very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.